treadmill, protect focus, make work matter, um, no blame learning. If you do those, morale will go up, quality goes up, and burnout drops.
I like that. All right. Same question for you. Oh, actually, no. Reverse question for you, Justin. Give me some bad advice on keeping your analysts happy.
Bad advice. I think everyone wants to feel important, right? And so the easiest way to do that is just make everything a critical. Then every problem they're working on is the most important thing that could be happening.
Oh, yeah. That is some good bad advice. All right. Back to you, John. Give me some worse advice. One up that.
Yeah, I'll one up it. Make everything a critical. I'll one up it with measure analyst effectiveness only based upon the number of tickets closed.
Oh, that's a good one. That is some pretty bad advice. All right. Let's begin this.
Get ready. It's Super Cyber Friday.
Welcome to Super Cyber Friday, everybody. My name is David Spark, and today's topic is hacking analyst happiness, an hour of critical thinking about why a happy sock is an effective sock. Actually, what John was mentioning at the very beginning in our little cold open. Hey, let me introduce the people. It's John Hensinski, who's the head of security operations over at Profit Security, and Justin Lecheski, who's the director cyber resilience over at Redis. Huge thanks to our sponsor, and that would be Profit. Thank you so much, Profit, for supporting our event. And all right, lots of different ways to participate. The chat room, you guys all know the chat room. But submit tips, and I know you have some good ones on this, how to make your analysts happier. We do want happy analysts, don't we? 10% better tip. And join us on video at any time with Bring Me On, if you have a question or a comment to make anytime during the show. And then if you look on the side, there's a little two speech bubbles with like a Q in them. Go ahead and ask questions of our guests. We want that. And you can also vote for a favorite question. All right. Good advice, bad advice, worst advice. Get your tips in. We are going to play two games today, Public Interest and Tragic Quadrant. The first game is you're playing for bragging rights. The second one is an actual prize from the CISO Series prize deck, where you get the coupon code and you can just pick any prize you want. Then last questions answered. And then we'll have our meetup. And I can't stress this enough. You should join our meetup. As simple as that. Stick around to the end. It's a lot of fun. What happens, you stay where you are, and then we get dropped into a series of video chat rooms a la like Zoom. But you get to meet some new people in cyber. If you're new to the space, or you're looking for a job, or you want to learn more about our topic right now, or just eager to meet new people in cyber, this is a great way to do it. Stick around for just that. And then also I want to mention that our next show will be not till February 20th. So no show next week, but the week after we'll have a show. Hacking the Future of Log Data, an hour of critical thinking about why your traditional SIM is telling only a fraction of the story. And here is what's awesome. And I'm going to show you something right now. Let me get this up here. Call to actions here. I'm going to show this on stage. This is actually for the next event right there. But if you look at the top of your screen in the upper right-hand corner, like above the chat window, it says one-time form, auto-register for all events. So those of you who are regulars, who are annoyed with having to register every single time, we have solved that problem. Auto-register. Now, what will happen is as new events get created, you're going to get emails that are calendar invites, and you would just say yes to those, to the new ones as they come in, because we're constantly creating new events as well. But now you can register once and be in all the events. And, you know, the ones you can't come to, you say no to, but the ones you can come to, say yes. So please go ahead and register for that. All right. But I should mention, as I always do, when you register for an event, it does not take you out of the event. It will keep you in this event. It'll just open up another window. You can go ahead and register while still being in the event. And then, as I said, stick around for a meetup. All right, let's get to our questions at hand. Can you drop that for me, Josh? All right, our first question is, what is the actual relationship? Why are we having this conversation? What is the real relationship between the SOC analyst happiness and actual security operations? Why do we even have to have this conversation? I mean, I'm going to ask a simple question. Does a miserable team create more risk? I'll start with you, John.
I think it's a good and fair question. You know, when we talk to a lot of security leaders in the space, there's a commonality. Is like part of their strategy is analyst joy. And when it comes down to it, David, I think analyst happiness really truly matters, because And happiness can mean a number of different things. But when I think about happiness, I think happy analysts are learning new things. They're building new things in terms of making a system better. And they're also helping. And helping can mean responding to new things. And so when you create an environment where your analysts are building, learning, and enabled to help an organization manage its risk in all of those different ways, I just think it results in better outcomes for an organization.
And by the way, I should also echo that I think any employee that's happy speaks to positive for the organization. Justin, you're nodding your head, but let's speak specifically to the analysts. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like you were just saying, David. I mean, there's I think a huge relationship between happiness and productivity, right? And
Mhm.
like you're going to be able to produce more, deliver more impact if you're happy, if you enjoy what you're doing, if you're engaged. So I mean, I think there's like very clear positive outcomes of having a happy analyst and a happy team. I think the risks and the downsides of a miserable team can be massive too, even if it's not like a
Mhm.
direct impact, right? Like it's not like your analysts are sabotaging your environment, right? Or that they're converting to insider threats on a daily basis, but they are, more likely to be trying to just get through the day, right? Like just do enough to kind of make it to the end of the day and go home. And yeah, you're missing out on all that potential of the innovation and the new ways of thinking and kind of going beyond just what the norm is today. And I think that's where like the risk in it is, right, with a miserable team, right, is all that lost opportunity.
Very good point. All right. Oh, questions have already come in. Let's see what's happened here. All right. Let's hear. Let's just show it to the stage. Show and stage. All right. What's one thing leadership could do today to immediately improve analyst happiness? I like that. So let's get some immediate feedback. Bad. That's a good. How do you measure analyst happiness or burnout on your team? Oh, yes. Worse. Why do analysts complain so much when they knew what the job was? Actually, that's also a good question too. All good from Joshua Copeland here. Which here? I cut him off, but he's with Crescendo, director of cybersecurity at Crescendo. All right. Very good question, Josh. Let's just start with that very first one. I'll start with you, Justin. What's just one thing like everybody could do right away to improve analyst happiness?
I mean, I think talking to teams and having like open, honest discussions about like what are the challenges, what works, what doesn't, what are the frustrations, and like doing it not just to be like, oh look, I'm asking questions so that you feel heard, but like actually
Right.
listening, right, and understanding and using some empathy to realize that like if concerns and challenges are being voiced, like there could be a very good reason for that, right? And that's an opportunity to learn and improve. And I think just being heard a lot of time goes a long way. But then whenever you're able to translate that into action and improvements, I think that could be huge for people.
You know what? Here, I'm going to put this quote up from James Sparrenberg, old Army, saying, "When the troops stop complaining, you have a real problem," because they because if they're not complaining, they don't feel sort of welcome to complain. And I'm just going to echo something I've said about Andy Ellis, one of my co-hosts, former CSO over at Akamai. Easy win. Just ask people, what's the one thing you can't believe hasn't changed that needs to change? John, you're nodding your head. What would you
Yeah,
add?
yeah, I want to amplify a couple points. I think that quote was really good. I often tell teams that I lead is the opposite of love is not hate, it's apathy. And so when people stop complaining, that's actually worse. But things that leaders can do, I really love Justin's point, is go talk to folks. But the other
Mhm.
thing, as leaders and managers of security teams, especially within a security operations center where we've got analysts working really hard, is look at data. What's showing up, what's getting done, where are the pain points, where are the problems. I've often found that if you take those conversations and you're backed it up with clear understanding of operational system thinking of like, oh my gosh, you are so right. This thing over here is a nightmare. I can't believe we haven't fixed it. Oh my gosh, this phishing problem. You looked at 10,000 of those last week. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
What are we going to do there to optimize that? And then also like, hey, when we look at data, there seems to be a place to add some optimizations here, here, and here. Does that resonate? And so combined with really high quality conversations, coupled with data, you bring those together, you've got to start towards pushing an organization forward.
Good. And by the way, Joshua Copeland, I liked his corollary. If the troops aren't complaining to you about the problem, you are the problem. And yeah, that's and you. By the way, one joke that we've talked about a lot, like and you know what, this echoes just the technical equivalent of this is if there are no alerts in your sock, you've got a problem. You know, like, same idea. It plays with. And by the way, I also like Freddie Alvarez's comment here. I have a classic hack to keep analysts happy: burritos and Coca-Cola. I'm very happy with burritos. Very happy. All right. More questions coming in. Let's see what we got. Here we go. From Melissa Garcia over at Do Control. How to keep culture up and analysts happy even when the work climate is stressful, like uncontrollable events, things happen. Like, well, yeah, that's inevitable. That's a really, really good point. I'll throw it to you, John. What would you answer on that?
I think you have to have a framework for what happiness means. What are you trying to accomplish? And that's why I started with the definition of it's learning, it's building, and it's helping. And I'm using help as kind of a synonym for responding. But the other thing that must be true is there is going to be stressful moments. And good leaders prepare their teams for those moments and say, hey, when this happens, here's the roles and responsibilities. Here's what expectation setting is going to mean. So if you have a framework coupled with a leader that is predictable in those moments and brings calm, smooth is fast, fast is smooth. I repeat that constantly. You can bring about an organization that is happy, but in those moments that truly matter, it's like, we've got this. And so that's kind of how I think about these situations.
By the way, James, we do not want now. James has created an image we don't want to see. You're making me fat and gassy with the burritos and Coca-Cola. All right, adding to you, Justin. Anything comment from what John said?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other piece is, from a culture standpoint, right? Like how do you instill into the organization, into the team, those beliefs and behaviors and mindsets and things like that. And I think that really comes down to kind of establishing what you want it to be, right? Like, what are those founding principles? What are those guiding principles that you want within a team, right? For us, like, big things about like transparency and collaboration and, checking your ego at the door. And then I think just giving like good examples of what that looks like, right? Like living
Mhm.
that day to day and recognize it within the team. And I think, the culture is kind of forged in some of those, or the groundwork is laid in those moments of calm, right? But then it's really during those emergencies, during the things aren't going as expected, that you can really solidify that, right? And give something people to kind of fall back to, and kind of have that stuff in mind and be able to keep it at the forefront even when stuff is hard and it's chaos, right? Like, you're still able to operate in a way that supports those things and kind of demonstrates them. I think that's really important.
I'm going to throw up this question from Kaylee Hartland of TE Connectivity. How do you find the right balance between creating opportunities to make your analysts happy, so that's like providing tools and stuff, and allowing them the autonomy to self-discover those opportunities? This is okay. This is a really good question, and I'll give a perfect example. Just happened with our team. They self-discovered something where, and I was just talking about with both of you off camera about develop vibe coding a game for us, which I think on our next show we're going to show it to you guys. And if I told them to do it, that would be one thing. But the fact that they did it, they showed it to me, I'm sure it made them a hell of a lot happier to do it that way. Like, so that's an interesting question. It's like, you do want to provide them the tools, you do want to make them happy, but you also want them to sort of have those moments of delight themselves. Justin, you're nodding your heads here.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in that ability to self-discover and giving everyone on the team that sense of autonomy. Um, at the same time, like, I think it's really important getting back to like talk to people, right? Like, understand some people want, like, hey, give me that green field and a problem to solve, and let me figure out where to focus and what to do. At the same time, presenting that to someone else on the team may give them, a panic attack, right? Like, that's not what they want. They don't want greenfield and just like, hey, go solve a problem, right? And so I think some of it is understanding, a little bit at an individual level, but organizationally, I mean, we try to focus a lot on that autonomy, right? We come together, we understand like what are the big problems we're trying to solve? What direction are we trying to move in? And then kind of let the team start exploring that, break it down, find places that they're excited and passionate about, right? Like, hey, this piece of this problem is really, really interesting to me, and I want to dive in and tackle that. And that's where we've seen just really, really awesome productivity, but also incredible happiness, right? Like you have that sense of joy in the things that you're working on. And I think that's like a magical combination.
All right. And John, what are you about the balance?
Yeah, I think it's really important because what we're saying is how do we allow for autonomy and creativity in a way that can be directed back to the thing we're trying to accomplish? But also with a little bit of, hey, we spent a whole bunch of time on X and Y, it didn't result, but there is value in that in terms of discovering that a given different path didn't work. To kind of wrap up the thought bubble, it's to really unlock that. You need a strategy of saying, here are the things we're trying to accomplish. And it could be a metric, it could be an outcome. I'm going to give you a really basic one is like, I want to move our time to respond from 45 minutes to 30 minutes. Let's go figure it out. Because that's not a people problem. That's a technology and system design problem. And that's where you insert creativity. And so it's structured in a way where we're guiding towards outcomes and then unlock the creative thinking in those areas.
Excellent. All right, we got our first game. Let's hear it.
Do you know what others are thinking? On the public interest.
All right, what I need everyone to do is we play Kahoot and we play within the platform. So if you look at the icons next to the chat window, the one near the bottom that looks like a sort of an old Nintendo game controller, click on that and you'll have a Kahoot window that pops up. And you're going to type in this number, which is 776-2438, and then you're going to enter your name. And I'm going to play because I have not seen these questions at all. All right. And then I'm going to give you all a kind of a short countdown to before we get going. So John and Justin, get in there. Justin, I see you in there. John, are you in there?
Yeah, I'm working on it. Stand
All
by.
right. That's what I will give everyone a few more seconds to get in, and then we will get rolling. By the way, there's a lot more people here than are jumping in there, so I need more people to jump in on the game. Simple game, tough to play. For those of you who do not know how to play a Kahoot game, there's two things. You want to get the correct answer and you want to get it quickly. So correct first, then fast. So figure out how to do that. Correct and then fast. All right, I'm going to do a 10-second countdown now. 10, 9, get in there. 8, John, you finally got in there. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's begin. All right. And I believe you have like 10, or maybe only 10 seconds to answer these questions. So be quick. All right. And you will see what you need to do here in just a second. Which term is the most monthly search queries? So this is all answers. So appreciation or recognition. All right. I answered as quickly as I could. The countdown's going. We have 2 seconds. Correct answer is, and already I'm 0 for 1. Okay. A few more people, 11 to 10 there. All right. Who's in the lead here? Looks like Trevor is. He answered fast, but Matt is not far behind. None of us are on the leaderboard, it looks like. All right. Let's see how we do it. As I would say, there's 4 questions here. You see appreciation over recognition. I really thought it was recognition. I didn't think people could spell appreciation. See its purpose. All right. I'm hoping I got this one right. I feel confident on this one. I did get it right. I think a lot of
This is not
people
going well.
type in, what is the meaning of blank? I think that's why. Oh, I'm on the leaderboard. Look at that.
There you go, David.
All right. Look at that. Huge. My God. I think what is the meaning of? I think there's so many people typing that in. Oh, I was so convinced nobody could spell that. I was so convinced. Oh, I blew that one. That's always my theory. Can they spell it? You know what I bet you it does? I bet you they count the people who misspell it still counts. You know how they go, did you mean acknowledgement? Not with 3 Ks? All right, last one. Let's see who the leader is. Again, just bragging rights on this one. All right. How we doing this one? Ah, oh, that is a shocker. Nobody knows how to spell that.
That's why everyone's searching it so they can
Yeah.
get the right spelling.
That's right.
Maybe that's it. Yeah. I am well, camaraderie is I'm sorry, agency what I chose, not too far. This is every time I say there's got to be like a nightclub called camaraderie or something like that. Why all of a sudden these things jump up dramatically. All right, let's see who the winner is. 2 out of 4. You see, you can get in third place just getting 50%. 3 out of 4. Who wins that? Melissa G. Good job, Melissa. Excellent. I'm very impressed. And JP and Joe. Well, none of us even hit the top 5. We're pathetic.
No.
All right.
I got shut
There
out.
is,
That was
you'll
a
have
good
another
thing.
chance to redeem yourself. We have another game that will be coming up. All right. Before we go any further, I want to talk about your company, John, Profit, about analyst happiness. Why are we having this conversation with you guys about analyst happiness? How does Profit and analyst happiness come together?
Yes, SOC analyst happiness is near dear to our heart, and Profit Security is really on a mission to improve the lives of all security analysts. And the way to think about Profit is we're the SOC analysts you'll never see, but you'll
Mhm.
feel it every day. Like I actually think that's really important. So what we do is we take all of your alerts, we run them through a consistent, high quality investigation workflow. We automatically stitch all the context together across your tools, so you don't have to fight through that. And we do deliver a clear decision with the why and what to do next for every alert. If that resonates, and again, we're hopefully there's a lot of security analysts on this. It's maybe you've seen or experienced the SOC where signal keeps growing. Like the queue never really goes away, and your best analysts spend too much time in the messy middle, as I call it, instead of the moments where judgment really matters, where humans are really good. Well, we built Profit to give analysts their time back and that headspace back to bring about more analysts and joy. And so the net result is I see it every day is like analysts get time back, that noise drops. And I'd like to say analyst joy has entered the chat as a result of this. And so if you want to learn more, you can give us a try in a POV with your tools and your outcomes, and we'll prove it in your environment, measured the way
That'd be
you
pretty cool to
you care
see.
about. Yeah, that's right. And it's
All right.
measured the way you care about.
All right. I'm publishing this poll right now. And here's what it is. We are at CISO Series. We will actually provide an introduction to the fine people over Profit Security. Just go to the poll right now. Say, yes, it sounds great. I would love an introduction. Just go ahead and click on it. Would love an introduction to the fine people at Profit. See this for myself. See it with my own data. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead and vote. Oh, by the way, if you say no, we have 2 options. Both are good, positive responses. Please get in there and vote on that. I'm going to leave that up. Actually, I'm going to leave that up as I ask you this next question here, John, and that is the following. Because what you just said speaks a lot to to this next question. Why do we treat analyst burnout and dissatisfaction as an inevitable part of the SOC? We totally done that. They just come in, we deal with, rather than a fixable design problem. And I think what I'm hearing from you is this is how you looked at it, as a fixable design problem. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, it says I think about it as is listen, I love pizza and all the perks, don't get me wrong, but like analyst happiness is a system design problem, not a perks problem. And so the reason this really matters is that it's a solvable problem. And I often will write in the phrase like sock isn't a dirty word, but somehow along the way it became one. Like I don't know why. And it comes down to like a couple of factors. It's, the tools, they didn't keep up with the demand of the job. And then we thought we could solve technology problems with people. And sometimes somewhere along the way, we made technology problems become people problems and thought by throwing more people at the problem, we'd get the outcomes we're looking for. But the net result is that resulted in a whole bunch of burnout, a whole bunch of friction in a process. And so the reality is I believe that this problem can be fixed with the right tooling, the right mindset, the right culture, and the right people. Like, it's not about removing people from this process. It's about shifting where their focus is.
And by the way, so I just hit the poll for now, but we'll bring that back multiple times. I throughout, if you didn't get a chance to answer the poll or you're still not convinced yet, I will put that poll up later. Justin, correct me if I'm wrong. You're a customer of Profit? Yes.
Yeah, we've been a customer of Profit for about the last year now.
All right. Well, explain to me why. What was your situation, your SOC beforehand?
Yeah, so we're a very lean team. It's a very small team, and everyone is wearing a lot of hats, right? And so our analysts are also our engineers. They're also, we kind of spread out across the business and engaged in lots of different ways. And so we weren't operating a traditional SOC, right? It was a hybrid. It was outsourced. It was, kind of trying to make do with a lot of things, a lot of decisions that we had made to solve like immediate impact problems. Um, and so when we started looking at like what was happening with AI in the SOC space, and we started talking to Profit, we kind of stepped back and said like, all right, well, let's, instead of just trying to plug new technology into existing environment, existing problems, what if we kind of step back and think about this a different way? Like, how would we change our operating model, right? Instead of like an outsource and some other company calls me and tells me when I should be worried about something. Like, what if we have that always on, always there
Hmm.
analyst that's keeping things running, but also is explainable and transparent and understandable to us. And it was really an opportunity for us to avoid trying to solve the problem just with people, right? Like, do we continue to scale with the business by just throwing more people at it? We didn't think that that was a very viable solution, right? So how do we kind of look at things, use technology to our advantage, empower our analysts, and make sure that that lean team we have that is wearing a lot of hats is able to be hyper focused where they need to be and very effective in the things that they need to engage in. And that, I think, has been one of the big things that we've gotten out of Profit.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Do get your questions in. I've got plenty more myself, but we would like to hear your questions as well. And anyone has a question or comment they want to make on camera, you can always jump on screen. Okay.
Hey, David. Sorry, real quick before the next question, I
Sure.
saw the comment from Jason in the chat about
Sure.
we've always treated the problem that way in most operation centers, right? Knox, iTalks, SOX, right? The
Right.
kind of burnout problem. I think that's an awesome observation. I've had conversations with people in the past about, and this is gonna maybe sound like egotistical, right? But like the similarities between like a SOC and like an emergency room, right? Like
Right.
that same kind of environment of like you're responding with urgency to something very bad that's happening. It's a high stress environment. Things are moving quickly. It's unpredictable. It's not that you can say like I'm going to have these many of this over this period of time. And I think there's a lot of similarities in terms of like the toll that it takes on analysts psychologically and mentally over time. I think that we have in the technology space a little bit of an advantage in that it for most of us is not a true life and death situation, right? So we've got that going for us, which is nice. But I do think that it speaks to a little bit of like we've tried to solve the problem in a lot of like the easy ways, right? The perks, the throw more money at it, the just give them more tools and hope the problem goes away. But like addressing that burnout and analyst happiness, I think is actually like a really complex question, right? Because different people have
Well,
different motivations, and it's hard to do that in a way that works everywhere.
well, I mean, look, yes, it's okay actually to reference the emergency room because what you're talking about are things are extremely time sensitive tasks
Yeah.
that are constant. And that I think is the issue. The emergency room operates like this. And while it's not human lives, it is something, a bad mistake can be detrimental financially for many, many, many people. And it
Yeah.
could be, sort of catastrophic in a series of different ways. John, I mean, I'm assuming you look at things like that and like we're easing the pain of the constant drumbeat that the SOC delivers. Yes.
That's right. Yeah, there was a question in the chat. I think it was removed, but the question was, "Hey, listen, how does an analyst keep up with X amount of alerts per day where there's only, Y number of hours?" And I thought that was a really good comment because, yeah,
Whoops. Whoops. Yeah.
I think yeah, there it is.
There you go.
And so a big part of this problem, when you think about this as like a system design problem and not just perks. Again, I love me some pizza, but the reality is like if you want to make your team happy, start with understanding how much work is showing up relative to how much human time I even have. And if those are imbalanced, like stop with the conversations, like start to turn dials because the team is overworked and overloaded. Then the
Right.
next step, David, is okay, I can take these repetitive classes of work, automate them, and know the conditions with which a human needs to get involved and intervene because it is that go moment as well. And so, really, it's a change in operating model and an operating system, as Justin described. And that's where the technology kind of inserts in terms of oh, yeah, all of this layer of just toil and repetitive tasks. I can optimize that. I can enable a team to make that problem go away. And when moments matter, it's like, yep, I have time, energy, and the capability to respond in these moments as well. So it's again system design challenges.
By the way, I'm glad you brought this up, and more importantly, I'm glad that Michael Williams brought it up because we see this all the time, and that seems like the most obvious thing to look at first.
It,
When you have that imbalance of hours, it's like, of course you're going to fail. There's
yes,
no other option.
yes, yeah. The other thing, and I've spent some time writing some blog posts, is capacity modeling in the SOC. It's like you don't see that talked a lot about, but like start there.
Mhm.
And it's like if you're trying to detect all the things and then use humans to kind of clean up the mess, and then you're telling them to go faster, bad things will happen. Like one of the things, good advice, I'm going to go back. Don't go to your team and say, move faster. Take
Yeah.
a step back and say the system design that's going to enable us to unlock the performance that we want.
Yeah, really, really good point. All right, where are we at? Okay, no more questions in the queue, but please get your questions in, or I don't see any more. Oh no, wait. No, excuse me. Yeah, those have all been answered. So get some more questions in for us, but I got more myself. All right. So this is interesting. So is the security breach gets you more budget dynamic? We all know this. Like everyone's fighting for more money. You have to make a case of why this is going to make us less risky and it's going to be better for the business. But is that dynamic actually making it hard to invest in analyst happiness because we're incentivized to stay in crisis mode? Like, well, all right, let's just wait till this breaks. We'll get some more money and everyone will be happy, kind of a thing. Like, I mean, by the way, have you ever been faced with that kind of nonsense, Justin?
So that personally, no, thankfully.
Have you
I,
heard
I
that?
I've absolutely heard it. I spent part of my career in an organization after a very significant breach that I'm sure everyone here has heard about. But that was very much like the post breach mentality of like ask for it and it will be yours, right? Like you name the technology, the service, the whatever you want to do. The funding and the approval was never in question, right? It was whatever it takes to kind of recover and improve so that this doesn't happen again. And like there is there is a certain amount of joy in that, right? Where like you don't have to go and have those conversations and like the business justification of like, okay, why do we need this tool or that tool or like
Right.
any of that, right? It's just like, hey, here's how we're going to solve this problem. We're going to use these things. We're going to build this thing, and you can just kind of go and like, yeah, it's not bad, right? Like being in that situation is not bad. But if you're trying to just like bounce between like one of those to the next so that you always have that opportunity, I couldn't imagine living like that. I couldn't imagine like trying to be in that situation for the upside of like, oh, well, budget's easier to get and it's easier to get approval. Like, I think, I think one of the things that's interesting is like finding those creative solutions and those ways to like optimize and maximize the value in what we already have, right? Like maybe we don't need to go buy another tool to plug in, right? Maybe we can adjust the things that we have and we can get more value out of them. And how do you like really maximize that? I think that's an interesting and fun approach also. So but no, I certainly want to be in an environment that's like incentivizing, like, hey, let's get something terrible to happen so that we have the justification to do more work.
By the way, John, And have you been on the happy recipient side of receiving funding because something broke with one of your customers and they had to come to you?
Oh, it's a nuanced question,
Okay.
David. I don't want to just help customers that are in that dire need, but yeah,
No,
obviously,
no, but just saying that,
for
these
sure.
situations happen.
Yeah, the compelling events are going to happen. It's going to drive budget and product decisions as well. We've certainly seen that pattern. One counterbalance to that is one of the things that I'll tell the teams that I lead is, remember, security is a process. There's no end state. So part of the counter to that phenomenon is saying, okay, if we're not post breach response mode, how do we articulate and communicate back to the business what we're doing to buy down risk every single day or manage it? And that's where it goes back to strategy and creativity to kind of continuously move the
Mhm.
organization in a direction. It goes back to happiness. If people are learning and feeling like there's progress, it's that. And quite frankly, maybe this is maybe a hot take. It's post breach response is one thing in terms of budget, knowing which attacker just broke in and what to respond. It's that time in between, more of that peacetime. How do we continuously improve ongoing security for the organization? That gets pretty tough and difficult. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that resonates, Justin, but it can be even more challenging, that post breach environment.
No, I think it does. And I don't know about you, but I think there's a lot of it that is kind of like that internal education to, leadership and stakeholders of like, hey, our function is more than just the emergency response, right? We're not just firefighting, right? We actually want to spend the minority of our time responding to emergencies, right? We want that to be like the one off that happens. We want the bulk of our focus to be on how do we buy down that risk? How do we prevent it? How do we harden the environment? How do we optimize these systems? And I think that it can be really challenging in some environments to gift some of that mindset to value those things over the emergency response, right? Or being able to kind of see that, yes, nothing is on fire right now because of all this good work that has been done and is continuing to be done. And that is why, the budget requests come in, and that's why the team grows, or whatever is happening. It's not just the crisis mode kind of stuff. And yeah, I think that's huge.
Um, Question for you, Justin. Have you just asked your SOC, like, what would make you happier here? Like, just asking people straight up, what would make you happy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of from being a leader in any operational space, right? But in the SOC, like, having those conversations, right? And John alluded to it as well. I mean, what do you like? What do you not like? Uh, you know, in terms of like the environment and all of that, but also just in terms of like what kind of stuff do you want to do, right? Like, um, I have people on my team that they're builders, right? They want to be building things, they want to be integrating things, they want to be, figuring out how we make this all better. Then you have other people that are like the Sherlock Holmes, right? They want to be able to figure out like what makes them happy is like, how do I figure out how we got from here to there, right? How do I fit this all together? But yeah, I mean, I found most analysts that I've worked with are more than happy to tell you what they like to do if you take the time to ask, right?
Mhm.
They'll give you an answer.
Actually, John, I would ask that same question about developing profit is what questions did you ask? Maybe what questions did you ask to kind of figure out a model for profit? Do you know?
Yeah, yeah. Let me give you a little bit of history. So I've been in security operations for 20 years, and I've worked in SOCs for the government, for private industry. I've had the privilege of working and leading some of the world's largest MDRs. And one thing that is grounded in my belief about happy analysts is I remember the joy of the first time I found real evil in an environment. You found it, you get to investigate it, you get to tell the story in terms of what's happened. So one of the things that make analysts happy is like when you're finding evil, when you're finding things that shouldn't be in that environment, or even when things are broken. It's like I found something. And so if you relate that to what Profit does, it's bringing about a technology where the probability of an analyst interacting with something that's more likely to be evil or truly require human response is much higher with that technology than without. Of course, all things considered, you can be in the world's best SOC, and every time you look at an alert, it's a higher probability of something interesting. But really, that really went into our thinking of how do we eliminate the toil in a way that doesn't increase risk to the business. What I mean by that is like sometimes you don't want to turn off every alert. Someone made the comment that like, hey, triage is just as important as getting into the ER room. 100%. Quick triage, understand, do we have a problem here? Do I need to pull in that expert? Yes or no? That becomes really critical thinking in here as well. So the net of it all, David, is happy analysts responding and finding things. There are other things, but that's one of the core components of the product.
All right, we're going to get to our next game in a second, but I do want to remind everybody to join our next event, which is going to be on February 20th, 2026. Go ahead and register for that very event. Click the register button right there and join us. Simple as that. It will not take you out at all. You just register. Go ahead and click that register button. It will not take you out of this. You will be able to play the game. You'll be able to join us, but we will I'm sorry, it'll just take you another window you can register for, or click the top of the screen, which allows you to register for all the events, and you don't have to worry about this at all. All right, now it's time to play our next game. Let's hear the music. Josh, bring up the screen. Next game. It's coming up soon enough. There it is. Here we go. Let's hear the music.
Deceptions, lies, treachery, and the truth on the Tragic Quadrant.
All right, I'm going to play along too because they put some new items in here. So remember, same thing. Go ahead and click the game controller button, the second to last one, or maybe the last one on your screen. Looks like a Nintendo controller. Everyone's getting in, and you are playing for a prize. Actually, we didn't show the prize here. Can we show the prize screen for a second and then bring this back? Yeah. All right. Scroll through that. This is what happens. You get a coupon code, and you can pick anything from this. Can you actually scroll through to show there's more here? Yeah, so there's more stuff, lots of stuff to order. Usually people go for the hoodies or the fleeces, but go back to the screen so people can register. They didn't all get their number in. There we go, 452-6832. Let me give you another 15 seconds to get in there, and then we'll play the game. So this is the way the Tragic Quadrant works. Gartner has a lot of categories, right? Like hundreds. We actually looked them up, and there's too many of them. So you're going to see 4 names of categories. Now, they're going to appear on the screen, but they won't necessarily be the same order on your pad. So just make sure you're hitting the right one on your pad. Or just look at your pad. That's probably the best thing. One of them is the correct name for a Gartner category. The other 3 we made up. All right. So you got to get the correct one. All right. Go ahead and start. Let's do this. When you're playing for a big CISO series prize. And even if you've won before, you can pick something new. All right, Tragic Quadrant. Let's go. I made a guess. I don't know. We'll see. Any of these could be a category. No, I got it wrong. A ton of you got it right. Good job. How do you guys do? Well, none of you are on the leaderboard here. Threat modeling automation. The rest, they sound legitimate. I think we have 5 or 4 here. I think we have 5. All right. I think I got this one right. I hope I did. No. Oh, God. Only one person got that right.
Wow.
I totally thought cyber risk quantification was a category.
It took me all the questions till now to get one, but
so you're the one who got it right. Good job, Justin.
Wow.
I'm
impressed.
Yeah, that one, like I looked at that and said, oh, for sure not. I would have guessed the other 3 before I landed on that. I think now this one I think I got right. I mean, I said the same thing on the last one. I did get it correct, as did most of us. Good. CNAP. I'm familiar with that. All right. Well, none of us on the top list here. Your boss made you. All right. This one, I think I know. And most of you got that one. SASE, Secure Access Service Edge. I think this is going to be our last one coming up, or was that our last one? Oh, no, that was our last one. So 3 to 4. Josh, good job, Josh. GN, who I don't know who GN, but who's the number one is Trevor. Good job, Trevor. Congrats. Very good. Just beating out, geez, by a slim. Oh, I came in 5th. Look at that.
Nice.
All right. All right. Excellent job, the two of you. Good job. All right. I'm going to put up our poll again, by the way, because you didn't get a chance to see it. I'm going to show it on stage and we'll chat through our next question here. Oh, you know what? We got some questions here. New question came in here. Actually, here, I'm going to show this on stage over this for a second. How will AI transfer SIMs from passive log dumping grounds into high fidelity detection engine? And what does this mean for analyst efficiency? I mean, this is what we're seeing with a ton of AI SOC tools and what you guys are doing. I mean, I think you can speak to this, John. Yes. Here, I'm going to put the poll back up. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's already underway. Is the kind of the net of it all is when you look at where AI is fitting within security detection and response in the SIM. Just a bit of context, like I think AI is really good at data extraction, classification, and summarization. And so the net of it all is, yeah, while SIMs continue to be a dumping ground, I think the problem to solve is how do you optimize for the right detection and that right triage. And so the net of it all is we're already starting to see that take shape. Justin, interested in terms of your perspective specifically on the SIM side itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that AI is really unlocking is the ability to spend less time mastering syntax and more time mastering, intent and context, right? So, I think a lot of times, right, what like you could have a really great idea for a detection based on your understanding of the threat environment, and the threat landscape and how things work within your world, but translating that into the syntax of like, okay, how do I actually make this thing work, right? If you can get that first part, uh I think what we're already seeing is like AI is really good at speaking all of those different languages pretty fluently, right? It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to get you 90% of the way there with a minimal amount of effort. And I think that allows us to move faster, which I think is always interesting, and exciting. But also it gives us the opportunity to spend more of our human analyst cycles thinking about what are these things that I should detect? What are the threats that I need to be worried about? How would they look in my environment? How would they operate? And less time, kind of doing that syntax and query building and even like from like a validation and testing standpoint, right? Like you can build a process and leverage AI to say, okay, here's the detection. Now go back test it against all of the data I have, right? Like, is this valid? No. Okay, improve it based on the fact that these events are all false positives, right? Like it just allows that whole process, I think, to move a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently.
Excellent. Very good. And thank you, Murad, for that as well. All right. Let me see. How much time we got left? Oh, we got 11 minutes left. Okay. Couple more things here. If AI is fundamentally changing the analyst role from triaging alerts to something else, um, so if so, what's that something else? Like how is the role of the SOC analyst changing if the basics, the tier one level stuff, which is a lot of these AI SOC tools are talking about, if that's um, no longer their job? What is it becoming, John?
Yeah, there are a couple different things. It's not about removing SOC analysts from that threat detection or response loop. It's about shifting where they fit.
Hmm.
And not every SOC is the same way. So let me be super careful about that. Not every SOC is a click farm, but there may be those situations where it is. So when you
Hmm.
have technology like Profit, you're shifting from doing triage and all the repetitive tasks, and oh my gosh, it's that same benign alert activity again. To I've got technology in place that runs the frontline triage and pulls me into the moments that really matter, where there could be malicious activity, incident response process is spun up, or it's atypical. And so when you think about what AI is really good at, it's the things that humans already know how to do. And so what's left over is the nuance, the super complex, and humans are really good at that. The other
Hmm.
thing with the time back, and I'd be interested in Justin's perspective, is now instead of just alert triage all day, I've got time for threat hunting. I can ask bigger questions about the environment. I've got time to say, okay, maybe there's some detections we don't have in terms of we can start to curate detections. But then the other thing is the ability to say, okay, what are the projects or initiatives that I can participate in to meaningfully move security forward for the organization itself?
Hmm.
And dependent upon your environment setup, it could be, hey, we're going to make some configuration changes to MFA. We're going to move away from just SMS and text messaging and kind of look at that to make it harder to break into the environment. Or it could be, we need to make some policy settings because, self-installation is a vector and the Windows operating system still a thing. And so we're going to make some tweaks and changes to make it harder for an employee to accidentally double click malware and get it to run. So things like that. But I'd be curious, like Justin, like your team and its organization has moved from like alert triage to like builders. Like, what
So,
does that
so you
look
have
like?
the real world
Yeah.
story here. Yeah. Justin?
Yeah, no, I mean, what John's saying is right on with what we've seen, right? It's shifting the amount of time. So it's a couple of things. One, we came from a very outsourced hybrid model, right, where a lot of that triage work, a lot of that like what's really happening in our environment wasn't always very obvious or clear to us, right? Because we basically said, hey, look, we're going to push this all out there so that we can continue focusing on improving the structural aspects of our security, right? We can harden the environment, we can improve processes, we can make changes that make us a more secure, more defendable, more resilient organization. And we kind of did it at the expense of a little bit of a disconnect from like what's actually happening in the environment, and a lot of trust and well placed trust, I think, in this external organization to cover that for us. But we were in a situation a lot of times where when we were doing that incident response, alert response type of stuff, it was either highly repetitive because it's the things that kind of fall outside the bounds of what that service is, and there's like that grind and that drain of, hey, it's the same thing over and over again, and kind of get through that. Or it was a situation where we had to spend a lot of time like recontextualizing what we got, right? Like, okay, I've got this escalation, but what does that mean, right? And by shifting it back in, but in a way where we're leveraging the AI analysts to do a lot of that up front, it one makes it all very, very visible and accessible to us, right? We can very easily go and
Hmm.
see, hey, this is the number of alerts coming in from these places. Here's how it's routing through. Here are the determinations that are being made and why. But also, whenever something does come to us, it comes to us even more enriched than it would if we just took that alert in directly, right? We're getting all of that, the AI analyst enrichment and decision making and investigation, right? So it's improving like that aspect, but it's doing it in a way that isn't driving the volume of that work up. So we're still able to primarily be focused on building resilience, improving the way we operate, making things faster and more efficient, right? And so instead of looking at spending all of our time triaging alerts and responding, we can look at things like, okay, well, how do we build a framework for automated response so that we can truly get to a point of an alert fires, our AI SOC is able to triage, assess, understand, and escalate it to us in this, kind of context rich way so that a human can very quickly make a decision and, it almost instantaneously take some action in the environment to mitigate or remediate or contain or whatever. And like building that ecosystem, building those systems takes time and effort, and we're able to do that because we're not just in that constant alert triage mode all day every day.
All right, Livia, I got to wrap things up because we're 6 minutes for finishing. I want to thank Profit. Thank you so much for sponsoring today's episode. Remember, if you would like a warm introduction, I'm going to throw the poll up in the last few minutes. We will make that happen for you to see all the kind of cool stuff they're doing at Profit, and they'll do it with your own data so you can see for yourself. Hey, join us this Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern for Department of No. That's our Friday show that's moved to Monday. It's our Kick the Week Off show. We got Chris Ray, Field CTO for GigaOM, and Nick Ryan, the former BISO as well. In addition, here we go. Stick around for our meetup. So just stay exactly where you are. Don't go anywhere. You'll see a 15-second countdown. You'll be dumped into a room. You can move in and out of rooms as you please. We could all join one room, be in multiple rooms, whatever the heck you care about. Please turn on your camera and microphone so we can see and hear you. That would be wonderful. You'll need to do that. And would you like to sponsor a Super Cyber Friday? Well, just email us at info@csoseries.com. All right. We don't have a lot of time left. So I'm going to start with you, Justin. And actually, I'm going to put up the poll while we're doing this. I'm going to ask you, Justin, what is one question we have not, or one issue we have not brought up on today's conversation that we should have been talking about?
I think one thing we could have talked about is kind of the other side of the SOC equation, the threat side of it, and whether or not we're creating a more hostile environment for analysts to operate in with the advent of AI being leveraged by threat actors, right? Are they able to adopt and innovate these faster and make things harder and scarier and maybe a little more nihilistic for the rest of us?
All right. And I throw this to you, John, same question. What did we not talk about that we should have been talking about?
I think I'm just going to play off Justin. Is this a really good call out? Is think about AI in the context of defenders, but AI in the context of an attacker. And early on in the show, we talked about like stress is that thing that's carried by analysts, and I feel that, and I've seen it. Are we about to enter a phase where not the sophistication? I want to be very careful there, but the velocity of attacks increases, and what does that mean for our analysts? Because one thing to call out is I have seen an uptick in terms of successful phishing clicks because it's better targeting. There's more velocity there. And so what will that mean in terms of future analysts as it relates to needing to be thoughtful about countering stress? So something we could probably talk more about.
All right. We have 2 minutes, I think. I'm going to just throw this one last question on stage, and let's get a quick response from everyone. This is something that's in the back of everybody's head. AI is desperate to be right. How do you deal with this causing hallucinations and causing you to miss things? Because I think this is the fear a lot of people just have. AI is like, yeah, it's really cool, it's wonderful, but it's going to sound so right and it's going to be so wrong. John, what's your answer to this one?
I mean, first and foremost, like accuracy is very much the ball game. Like
Right.
the team I lead is focused on accuracy and quality. You have to be right in the quality of investigation. How'd you arrive at that conclusion and show me your steps and show me your work?
Right.
And so very much you have to build systems where that audit is ongoing. And I spent a lot of time thinking about system design where it's literally adversarial quality control based upon different bots. Yeah, you said it was this way, but I actually want a system where it's like they can actually argue with each other. Part of the SOC analyst role is evolving towards quality control and inspection to make sure the bots, are investigating the right way. So there is some of that shift going on. David, I see you pointing.
Okay, well, I was just saying that because I need to go to get Justin's answer on that. So that's a very good point. Justin, what would you add to this? Again, the fear of hallucinations.
Yeah, I mean, the QA piece is really the way that we've approached this, making sure that we have good feedback loops, that we're assessing the accuracy, like John said. That's really the biggest key. That's really where we're spending a lot of our time, right? We're not necessarily building the AI agents themselves, but we're looking at what's the output they're producing and building the systems around them to make sure that it is accurate and high quality.
Very good point. All right. Thank you very much, Justin. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much to our audience. Stay exactly where you are. I want to meet you. Many of you I have not met, and I want to meet you. So stick around for our meetup. Just stay put. We'll do it. Josh, our producer, has been running the whole darn thing. Thank you so much. Take us out.